Hey everybody, welcome to Training Tuesday, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I'm looking at you. I'm Suzanne Castle. So glad you're here for Training Tuesday. We're going to spend about 5 minutes together today, and we're going to be talking a lot about distractions and how they can keep us tamped down and what we want to do next. But if you're here live, as always, please drop a little nugget. Let me know you're here live or hashtag replay in the comments if you can. Shout out some love. And today is going to be electrifying, high energy. I hope you're ready. I'm so thrilled to have you all here. I want to talk a lot about unlocking your full potential because I want to ask you a question as we start today. Are you ready to unleash that inner sparkle? You know that I talk about this all the time. I call it the Sparkle Squad. My program's called the Sparkle Factor. And I use this as a container to think about conquering your dreams. I call it my takeover plan of the universe. And today we're going to dive deep in some of my secrets about that, which are how I'm hacking success differently, leaving no stone unturned. So I want you to imagine with me for just a minute, if you're standing on the edge of a cliff and the wind is, let's say, tousling your hair, right? You're gazing out at the vast expanse before you, right? But instead of relishing the adventure that lies ahead, you find yourself consumed with worry over the things beyond your control. You're looking at your phone. Those niggly little thoughts are hanging out in your head and you're fretting, right? You're fretting the unpredictable. And I think of it as trying to tame a hurricane. And I don't know if you have that going in on your mind, but that happens to me a lot. And so what we're going to do in this Training Tuesday is teach you some strategy to release that grip and instead embrace that thrill when you're standing there and you're taking it all in, because I want you to let your fearless spirit soar. So speaking of that, I want to talk about the power of turning and tuning out. So you turn to tune out, right? We've got a lot of noise, right? There's a lot of things coming at us all the time. You've got the dings on your phone unless you've got it on silent. Maybe you've got the same thing going on your email. A lot of us have that chatter in the background, whether you're watching 24-hour news or a TV, or you've got your music playlist on, or you're hearing your neighbors, or you're in a co-working space. There's just a lot that comes at you a lot. So instead, what I do when I'm just inundated and I've got this whirlwind of chatter and there's all these things going on, there's all this chaos, I give myself this moment. And this moment is, okay, I'm going to spot a glittering diamond, let's say. I'm going to make myself find something in the madness here, hidden among the trinkets of all of this mess. And that becomes what I focus on. So the world is buzzing, right, with distractions and opinions, and I'm going to keep focusing. And so to focus, what I have to do is tune out. So I turn inward to go, what do I need in this moment? So maybe I need a different playlist. Maybe I need to noise canceling headphones. Maybe I need to get up and walk. And when you are inundated by all this mess, it can easily lead towards distraction and procrastination because your brain is like, well, I need to focus on all these other things rather than the thing you told me to focus on. And so you've got to do some kind of internal work here. And for some of us, it's closing our eyes and doing some kind of centering meditation. For some of us, it's getting up, getting moving, maybe dancing. That's my favorite thing to do, is put on a song and shake up the energy. Maybe it's car karaoke. Maybe it's grabbing the kiddos or the pups and going for a walk. Maybe it's blowing bubbles in your backyard, right? The thing is, we have to fuel this engine. We have to make sure that this distraction, procrastination thing that's always coming at us, that we have to be more determined than that is. We have to find a way to be in alignment instead of about hustling. Hustling has that procrastinating, frenetic, weird energy to it. But when you're aligned, you're like, oh, all these things can be swirling around me. And still, I'm going to shoot for the stars. All these things can be zooming at me. And still, I'm going to do the thing that I said. Because every moment that I spend is clear, crystal focused. And when I feel myself getting distracted, when I'm trying to procrastinate on a thing, the first thing I do is shake up the energy. So that looks differently for every person, but you need to know what works for you. So when you kick procrastination to the curb, I call it buying a ticket to Action Town, right? And I ride that action as long as I need to get refocused back to what I say I'm going to do. And I'd love to know your tips on how you get out of that procrastination game with your own self. Drop them in the chat. But I also want to share with you for a minute that there's this temptation, especially on social, and here I am on social, so I get how weird this is, but of pleasure over progress. right? We love to be like, well, I'm going to go do this thing and then I'm going to do that thing. And oh, I see this strategy and this strategy over here, because we're not literally tracking what we are good at, what the things that are working. And so we're just like instant pleasure, instant pleasure, instant pleasure. I'm going to go do a thing. I'm going to do a thing. I'm going to go do a thing. Instead of standing in that gap that says, I said I was going to do this thing, and I'm going to do this thing as long as I need to. And I'm going to track it. I'm going to know why it's working, when it's not working. What about that little shifts? Because otherwise there's just this buffet of choices all of the time. And your brain doesn't know what to focus on, because your brain's like, we could do that, we could do this, we could do that, we could do this. And your plate gets really, really full. And your brain, it's like this dopamine hit. Like, let's try this, let's try this, let's try this, let's try this. Because it never has to sit in that moment of making sure that you're doing the right thing. That takes some real internal courage to do that. And that pleasure of like giving your brain that dopamine hit, it might satisfy for this long, but it's going to be the progress. It's going to be standing in that moment and tracking what you say you're going to do and shaking up that energy to really understand your greatness, to really get progress towards what you're trying to do. So this week, I want to invite you to resist the temptation to feast on that instant gratification, that hit, and savor that kind of sweet taste of success that, wow, it's the end of the month. We're coming on it, right? So in May, I'm going to do this thing for 30 days. And I'm going to track it. And then I'm going to know what about that one thing may or may not have worked for me, and just do that one little shift, not, oh, I'm going to change my whole strategy. That's not the way to have unwavering dedication to your dreams, to your stars, to what you're trying to make shine in the world. So your greatness will start with a single step. Right? We hear that all the time. And I know that you have a bold future in front of you. Thanks for being here today. Go rock your week. I can't wait to see you next week. I hope I'm going to have some good things. I'm going to a conference in Austin with Brittany Crossan, with a bunch of other folks who are visual social superstars. And I can't wait to be in the room and soak up their magic. And so I hope to have some nuggets of knowledge to drop for you next week. All right. Love you bunches. Go rock your week. I'll see you soon.